flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And who on the panel would like to lead us in the four-way test? You only need to pick one, and it doesn't have to be in order. That's my...
Is it the truth?
Is it the truth? We all say it after each other. It's our new thing. All right. What's the next? Another one.
Fair to all concerns.
Is it fair to all concerns? Come on.
Would it
Will it
build-
build goodwill and better friendship?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Okay. So, we have, Elias, did you want to pass out any more for the raffle?
For
You're
the
okay?
raffle, for the ace
You're all set?
of spades, any, I can do the last call right now, ace of spades.
Okay. So, why don't we, just for our panel, there are more members in this club. It's just, we switched it up for at night, and I think it was tough for some people to get here. But guess what? Our newest member, Rodrigo Santos, is going to film this so that I actually should probably get written permission from the panel, right?
We'll allow it.
You have verbal, okay. So that all our members can participate with you, okay? We have a lot of visitors here tonight, and let's start with Alberta Lipson, who is part visitor, part member, part
She's the auxiliary.
auxiliary. Thank you for coming so much, seriously. You're the substitute, but Alberta is not always a substitute. Alberta has done a lot of work to help us out. That's what makes it work. Thank you. Any other visitors out here? I don't think so. Oh, Hannah. Hannah, do you want to tell us your name and where you're from?
Anna.
Anna, sorry.
It's okay. And Newton Rotary.
Newton Rotary. Okay, glad to have you. And why don't we introduce our panel? Just your name. Why don't you say your name and what club you're from, and then I'm going to let Ken take over. Okay.
I'm Samantha Drevis. I'm from the Rotary Club of Downtown Boston.
What's your, you have a official position?
Yes. You mean like my title in Rotary?
Yes.
Vice President, Director of Media, and Public Interest Chair.
Hi.
I am Cortland Hepler, also a member of the Downtown Boston Rotary Club. I am the president-elect.
Right. And you want to introduce yourself?
Well, let's adjust.
All right, yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Jesse Lau. I'm the Vice President of the Boston University Sargent College Rotaract Club.
I think you all know me, but I'm Ken Goldstein, and Rotarian, and I'm going to moderate our little discussion here. So, first of all, thank you. We'll accept your applause. Let's have a big thank you to Sharon for organizing this, and Susan as well,
Yes.
for this great idea. And just to restate the idea is for our group, the Brookline Rotary, to get some inspiration from groups that are, more younger than ours, both in longevity and frankly in the demographics of the members. We have representatives of two groups here who are focusing on younger Rotarians, not intentionally, but because that's the kind of the natural way that they're doing it. And it occurs to us that our group could stand a shot of that kind of youthful vitality. And we ought to think about ways that we can make ourselves, if possible, more attractive to more people, more diverse age groups, and obviously more diverse groups of all kinds. So, having said that, I'd like to first just ask each of our panelists to introduce him or herself again, but this time give us a little bit more. Tell us, what attracts you to Rotary. Tell us a little bit about your group if you feel like it, and who you got.
When we get this over.
You wanna get the ace of spades
Don't
done now?
interrupt the-
Okay, scratch that, we're gonna,
Yeah, okay, just so we don't interrupt our meeting further on.
Jesse, why don't you, pick
Can you give
a,
us please the winning ticket?
yeah, don't pick your own.
Yeah, don't pick your own, please. Last three.
Last three is 643.
643.
Yes.
All right, okay.
Can everybody hear okay without the microphone? Because we're debating whether to do microphone for our panelists or not.
I think it helps, I'm sorry.
Think it helps?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I will let, I'll ask them each to come up and talk a little bit about themselves. And start with what you think is most important for us to know about you. Jesse, why don't you start? Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jesse Lau. I'll repeat myself. I'm the vice president of the Boston University Sergeant Rotaract Club. I've been in the Rotaract Club for 1 year now. I've heard of Rotary for about 1 year, so I'm brand new. I am doing my master's in cybersecurity at BU, and I am working full-time as an e-discovery associate project manager for a legal technology firm.
Great, thank you. Court?
Thank you. Hello, as I mentioned, I'm Court from the Downtown Boston Rotary Club, along with my fellow member. Actually, we're both from Maine, so I'm stealing her thunder. I am from Central Maine, a little town called Bangor. Slowly, gradually, it seems to be fading off of the map, but it's still there. I've been a member of this club for about a year, but I've been in Rotary for almost 4 years. I was a previous member in another club in Virginia. And actually, prior to returning to New England, I was living in South America for a while. But I love the club because it has a lot of energy, there's a lot of opportunity, and we have fun and do some good. So that's one of the things that I really enjoy. So thank you very much for having us and for this opportunity.
Samantha?
Hi, I'm Samantha. I'm also from the Rotary Club of Downtown Boston and from Maine, but not from Central because Southern Maine is much better. I went to Colby College in Maine, and I've been in Boston for like 3 years since then. What else? I was the RILA recipient way back in the day, president of my Interact Club, and a Rotary scholarship person. So Rotary is definitely in the blood as well. I work at Santander downtown as a marketing analyst.
We fortunately just were graced with our fourth panelist, Paris Alston. Paris, will you come up and just introduce yourself? Tell us a little about yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm so sorry I was running late. I work at WBUR, not too far from here, so I was doing an interview and the person kept talking and talking and talking. I'm like, oh my god, I have to go. So nonetheless, thank you so much for having me and my fellow panelists here. Of course, my name is Paris Alston. I am a member of Boston Rotaract, and I've been a member since July 2017, so a little over a year. I moved to Boston in November 2016 from North Carolina, which is where I grew up, went to school, and is also how I found my way into Rotary. I have a mentor who is a very good friend of mine, very dear in my heart, who is a Rotarian, and he introduced me to my first Rotary meeting while I was right after I had graduated from UNC Chapel Hill, and he really introduced me to all the opportunities that Rotary has to offer, and all of his club members are really nice, and they had really good food at their meeting too, so that was nice. So that helped a lot. So then when I came here, I remember saying, I want to get involved, and I love public service and I love meeting new people, but I'm not really sure how to find my way in Boston. He's like, hello, like you need to go to your Rotaract meeting. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So I found Boston Rotaract, and I've really found a place there, and they've become really close friends, like family to me. And I've served as our external communications chair for a year, and helped manage our social media and things like that, and certain outreach things. And now I'm serving as a new position that we've created as a diversity and inclusion chair. And so we've been focusing a lot on kind of improving the multicultural competence of all of our club members, and it's been really exciting. So I hope you can tell I'm very excited to be here. So.
Hi. Hi. Can you just explain to not all of our groups understand what
A community. Yes.
College-based.
Yes. Exactly. So different from Boston University Rotaract, Boston Rotaract is community-based, and so we have people who, most of the people in our club are young professionals. We also get a lot of international Rotaractors who sometimes they're visiting just for a month or a few months, or sometimes they're coming to work to do grad school for like a year or two, and they're looking for and maybe participated in Rotaract back home, and they want to continue being involved, so they come to our club. Or it's people like me who are maybe new to the city, or who have been involved in maybe Interact, or have parents who are Rotarians, or have mentors who are Rotarians, and they want to be involved in Rotary. So we come from all different backgrounds. Like I work in the journalism and media field. We have people who work in human resources, people who are educators, who are engineers, and we all come together and we all have this common thread of Rotary, which is a lot of fun. And we always joke and say, yeah, there's not a lot of people our age who are really like into public service like we are, so we're kind of like these Rotary nerds. But that's really cool because it all makes sense when we come together. Thank you.
Nice job, thank you. So I'm going to kind of ask the first teaser question, but I'm going to lead into it a little bit by telling you my observation of what I think Rotary clubs all focus on three main things. Either it's public service, and or it's business networking, and or it's sort of fraternity and sorority, the camaraderie, the social aspect of it. My observation of Brookline Rotary is, and I think Newton Rotary too, is that number one, if we had to rank those three things for us, is probably public service. Not that we don't love the social aspects of it, and not that we don't love occasionally getting to expand our professional networks, but I think public service is number one, and Paris spoke about it eloquently a moment ago. So I want to ask each of our panelists, and just raise your hand or just charge the podium here and come up and answer as you like. What you think the most important goal for you personally as a Rotarian is, and whether your club mirrors that concern. And maybe you've got another prime goal other than the three that I mentioned. So anybody jump right in. There you go, Claude.
All right, thank you. I guess for me, it's camaraderie, but it's camaraderie where we're joined together on a mission. So it's not just getting together and having a few drinks, but to me, sharing that experience with people that I can relate with and can share it with. That's really the key, one of the key things for me. And does the club mirror that? Well, our club is fairly unique in that we have a number of different interests, and we have people in the club who are willing to kind of take on those interests. And we have a very strong social chair, and we have a very strong service, and we work very hard to make sure the meetings are engaging and bring people together. So we're really trying to focus on all of these things. But we have a young club with people who really want to do these things. We have a very active board of probably, I think, about 12 people total. So that's just our board. So we have a lot of manpower, I would say. I think for other clubs, it's important to find that one thing that really is the most important for you. If that's public service, I think that's fantastic. And you focus on that. And you focus on recruiting people who also share that same, want to be part of that specific mission. regardless of, especially with with young people. I think there are a lot of them that are interested in service. It just can be tricky sometimes to find them, but they're out there in your communities. So that's what I would have to say about that.
Thank you, Corey.
Yeah, so the number one thing that I was always interested in Rotary, when I moved here a year ago, I wanted to find, I knew no one here. I wanted to find a group of people. I wanted to do community service, and I wanted to grow individually and as a group professionally. And I think having this great panel, we have a young Rotary club, and then we have the community-based, and I represent the university-based club, which is fantastic. And the university is a great place to find, I can't say kids, but young adults who really want to do community service, help the community either locally, nationally, or internationally, and we just want to focus on that. And a lot of the college students, from what I know, want to focus more on networking and professional development with a side of the community service is what I'm getting at from my club.
Harris from Nashville?
So for me personally, public service has always been about building community, and in the sense of not only when you're serving people, not just you are giving something to them, but you're also getting something from them and learning something that you may have never learned before. And that's definitely something that our club has put at the forefront, and we've put a huge emphasis on. Of course, as we were reaching back into the community, we were getting something from it too, but also just within our club, taking the time to do social events and taking the time to be really actively and aggressively but nicely recruiting people to come to our club and become members. And there are little things that we've been doing just at our club, when people come in, making sure that we say hello to people, we greet them, and we make this atmosphere that makes people feel like they are at home. Because, and public service, I think, is very well tied into that, because you are making people feel comfortable and making them feel like someone really cares about them, and that's always a good thing to come to, especially on a Monday night, which is what we have. So.
Great. Samantha?
I gotta start jumping in front of Porter. He's gonna take all my answers tonight. But I would kind of second that, what he said about our club, and then follow up with it more of we've made a family, I think. Coming to Boston is the least friendly city of all time. Coming from Maine, everyone in Maine says hello to you. Even if you don't know them, you say hello. Here in Boston, you do that, and people are like, what's wrong with you? She have a problem? Like, oh, get away from her. So I think transitioning into Boston is really hard. And being someone who loves service isn't something that you can talk about to, people you meet out at bars or your friends from college. They're probably not going to be like, yeah, that sounds like a great day on Saturday. Let's go hit up the food bank. So for me, I think Rotary was the perfect way to kind of merge all my worlds. So I got a really great core group of people who I actually consider a family. I joke our meetings are our big family reunions every month, because we only meet monthly, which is also kind of out there, not traditional. But also you get the friendships, and there's a little bit of the professional, but not too much, I would say. We don't network.
Thank you, guys. So I'd like to kind of flavor the next part of this conversation with a plea to our panelists to help us on a very practical level. We want to make ourselves more friendly to attract more people of more diverse age groups and other groups as well. And we are looking for some practical advice from you. Now, I want to introduce the subject by mentioning that we were scheduled to have another panelist here, Liam Kelly from the Northeastern group. And Liam, in giving us the sad news that he couldn't be with us tonight, was kind enough to write an email that I want to share with you guys, because he did exactly what I'm asking you to do. He was brutal, really frank with us about the subject that we want to hear the most about. So I'm going to read you what Liam says, and then I'm going to ask you each to sort of respond to what Liam says. Again, practical. He says, thoughts. Barriers to entry, which is great. That's exactly what we want to think about. What are the barriers to entry? Timing. For me personally, I usually don't have enough time to both attend meetings and go to events. Events are easier, but meetings are a little trickier. I'm not sure if you send out meeting summaries and updates, but that would be something to consider. Good, practical advice. Social media, online presence. Not so much for me, but for my generation, there's a strong focus on social media. Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, which we, by the way, all know about, news, all these things, you'd be surprised. Have a presence there, show what awesome projects are being worked on, videos, photos, digital media, etc. Here's where he gets tough with us, all right? Projects. Being brutally honest, yet polite, as I can be. Something I've noticed, and what is obviously the focus of this meeting, is that Rotary is outdated and lacks, and that's in quotes, outdated, because I don't think he really believes that, and lacks many young faces. The unfortunate truth is that many people from my generation, and he's brutally honest on his generation here, are selfish or too busy. I dropped a word, another insult that he laid down too, but we'll spare you with that one. The unfortunate truth is that many people from my generation are selfish and too busy. They like doing things that they benefit from, not always, but mostly this. I think one of the many solutions to this issue would be creating more interactive events, fundraiser concerts, events, and gatherings where people benefit from them but are also giving back. I love that thought. One such example, the Brookline breakfast, speaking of our pancake breakfast, has an awesome turnout. In that same direction, dinners and other events could be scheduled. And then he apologizes for being aggressive, but we appreciate his frankness and honesty. So, practical ideas from you guys. We'd love to hear them. Just jump right in.
Well, I would first respond that I certainly wouldn't be one to speak for an entire generation, and I think those are pretty harsh words that are based on, I'm not sure, his own experiences. I think there are a lot of people his age, I'm not sure how old he is, I'm assuming in his 20s or early 30s, that are more than interested in public service. I mean, I'm one of them. We have a club full of them. The challenge is finding them, and it's not just going out and finding them, it's making what you do known. And that's one of the things that Rotary has struggled with, is its identity in general. So there's not a lot of brand equity in Rotary anymore. Certainly, not that isn't based on maybe old ideas that people had. And that's not necessarily a failure on the individual clubs, as it is Rotary International or just the changing of the tide or whatnot. So I think practical things, for me, I think meeting space is really important. We meet at a fairly cool restaurant/bar that's in Faneuil Hall. We've met in different places around Boston that also have a nice reputation, and the members enjoy going there and sharing. And that's something that's attractive. And we actually are trying to even find better places to meet, because we realize that's a big part of what makes our club attractive to new members. They get to go once a month to a cool place and hang out with cool people and talk about service and get to know each other. And so I think the meeting place is really important. And Rotary kind of shares a little bit of the challenges that the American Legion has. I would even say the VFW. I mean, these things, they haven't done a good job at marketing themselves to younger people. So when you say, for example, if you meet here, that person may not have the right idea of what the American Legion is anymore. You might switch it up sometimes, try, meeting at Magnolia, or I don't know what they have downstairs. It used to be the Elliott Room, or, just to kind of switch things up and see if you might be able to wrangle in some young people. As far as public service, yes, go ahead.
When you meet at a bar, do you have your own room?
We do. We have a private room. You have to be careful with that. Sometimes there can be a little bit noisy. So it can take some time to find the right place, but it's worth trying. Yes.
Another question. Did you say you meet once a month?
So yes, actually the club I used to be part of met twice a month, which was a huge deal when that happened. There were only a couple of clubs in the country that only met twice a month, and here we are, doing it once a month. And we do that for a specific reason. and that's probably stealing all the things Sam was going to say, but that's so that we, it's not that our members are only engaging in one day a month. It's just we make it it's very important to us. We have a service event and we have a social event each month. So we present options, and we're not in there super strict on attendance, but we give people options. The meetings for us, sometimes we make them social, sometimes they're a working meeting, but I think, just meeting for the sake of meeting 3 or 4 times a month can be tough for a young person. Yes.
So when you guys are meeting at all these different places, financially, how are you working that out with all these locations?
Well, so we just meet at, our official meeting is just at one place each month.
Okay.
And we set a budget based on what our revenues are from our monthly fees, from our member dues.
Okay.
So, we look at, that's one of our main sources of income, so we look at, kind of setting enough aside for other things that we have a purpose for, but that's kind of how we base on where we can meet. We'd love to meet at Fenway Park, for example, but we just unfortunately don't have the revenue. So we base it on that, and we find a place that's willing to work with us, that's in our budget. They charge for the room, and charge for a bartender, and charge for these different things. But sometimes they like the mission of Rotary, and they'll work with you.
Would you share with us how much your dues are and whether you collect on a per meeting basis as well?
Yes. So our dues are $50 a month, and it's a monthly due. It's done through a credit card system. So you supply your credit card information, and it's automatically, usually the first of the month, usually comes out of your credit card. So it's very simple and it's painless for members. It's maybe a little bit high. I'm not sure what your dues are. So it's relatively the same. At the meeting, there is a kind of heavy hors d'oeuvres. Usually, there's actually enough of food that you could probably have enough to eat for, a small dinner. But you're talking with people too, so a lot of times you're talking and you eat less than you would if you weren't. But now we've been giving out drink tickets, so everybody gets usually one free drink when they come. The bar works with us on that, and it makes for a good time.
You give
Yes.
them to visitors free drink.
Yes, we give them to everyone that comes. So thinking about visiting us, all of a sudden I'm one of your friends. Yeah, very sneaky, huh? Well, I would let someone else speak. So a couple of practical.
I'll tie my hair.
Thanks. I mean, that's just the information we want. Samantha, come up here and
Yet
give us
again,
more.
here I come, just following up for it. I'm going to jump in front of you next time. I think another big thing that attracts young people that a lot of people don't think of is people that look like them. So coming into a situation where you're by far the youngest person is always a little intimidating, but if there's one other person, even if they're just visiting or like a random Rotarian somewhere, it helps. It kind of starts to drive that connection because you see like, oh, someone else already did this. I can fit in here too. Unless you're me and you prefer older people, like my grandparents are my best friend, so it's fine. They were also Rotarians, so very, very in line with the theme here. I think another thing is the speakers. So we have extraordinary speakers. We had Dukakis a couple months ago. We've been really fortunate. One of our founding members, Scott, is just amazing at pulling some of the best and brightest in Boston to come talk to us. And I think that the younger generation is really interested in learning. We have this kind of motivation where we go to college and we finish, but we just keep learning and we want to find more knowledge. So being kind of an outlet for people to find that knowledge really helps, especially, it kind of drives home the, do I have time for this? Like, yeah, you do, because you're going to go learn about autonomous vehicles, or you're going to go learn about the government, or you're going to go learn about something else. So having that mix helps a lot as well. But as the public image chair, I'd be remiss to not mention the fact that, yeah, Rotary hasn't done a great job of keeping up with the ages. Our old president likes to talk a lot about how she never had to come out. She's married to a woman. She had to come out as a Rotarian, she always argues. Because it was more embarrassing to her to be a Rotarian. It was more of like a fright of, oh my gosh, people are going to judge me. So I think it's kind of a mentality that we all need to work on. Because, I mean, I brought my Rotary mug to work, and I forced myself every single morning to walk around the office with it. And when people look at me like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm a Rotarian. And I tell them all about Rotary, and they still kind of think I'm crazy, but we're slowly getting there. One mug at a time.
So I want to, first of all, from what Liam was saying, I can kind of relate to them, and a lot of, I would say, college students can relate to them. There is a difference between young professionals such as myself and the panel you see here and the actual college student. Sadly, for the most part, I would say undergraduates, yes, they do care about only themselves for the most part, and they're just looking to benefit themselves, either if it's through a community service or like professional development. And I want to first of all thank Brookline Rotary for sponsoring myself and Ioana and Sarah to the Rotary International Convention, because we benefited a lot from that, and we learned a lot from the seminars that we went through, and from a lot of my colleagues internationally and people of my standing. We do all agree that like meetings were a big deal. The frequency of meetings is something a lot of college students can't obtain. So like last year we had 2+ admin meetings a month, and now we've reduced it down to once a month meetings, but we have substituted that with a fellowship and a service event. At least we have 3 to 4 events per month. Any questions for a university?
How often do you meet?
So we meet, this month we have 4 events planned. We had our first meeting last Wednesday. We had a fellowship this Sunday, which the turnout wasn't that great. And then we have 2 service, the backpack awareness coming up, and then the healthy cooking coming
Where
up.
do you hold those?
We held those at BU, so we have a classroom there that we use.
So do you feel as though there's, and I am a millennial, but like, I'm like you, I hang out with older people all the time. But do you feel as though there's a generational gap? Because I understand your point of them feeling as though they need to have some sort of benefit. Do you think that maybe it would benefit Rotarians such as Brookline or Newton Rotary if we collaborate with Rotaract Clubs to work on maybe networking? Because you guys are coming out of a position where you're finishing up school and you're looking for connections. Do you think that would be something that maybe Rotaract or Boston Rotaract would be interested in?
I totally agree with you. Something I learned from the International Convention is the pathway that's supposed to be there. You can start anywhere on the path, but it's supposed to be Interact in high school, and then you move to a university club. And then from that university club, where I see the gap is joining a community-based club. And then once you get of the age and of the skill and merit, then you move up to Rotary.
Yes. Do you anticipate around 35, 40, 50 years old that you would join a club once a week? It's not.
Yeah, Newton does. We just moved to twice a month for radical.
It might not be, I wouldn't add the caveat of once a week because we don't know what clubs it would be, but the fact that would you join Rotary Club?
I personally would, seeing the community that I've seen international, seeing what all the work you guys done locally. It's great stuff, and I'm glad to be part of it. Going back to her question, I do believe we can strengthen our ties. I mean, we have a pretty good tie already, BU and Brookline Rotary Club. But to answer your question, professional development is probably the #1 thing most college students are looking for. So as of this moment, I'm doing a seminar on Finance 101, things I didn't learn in college that I should have, but we haven't. Since I'm a cybersecurity student, I'm also teaching a cybersecurity 101 semester seminar. But
When does your BU Rotaract Club be?
every
Will you be open to having Rotary come to your
Yes, so I was going to piggyback off that. I was going to approach some of the leadership here. We meet every first Wednesday of the month, and then we have a secondary spot for speakers or any pseudo events that we need. And what I want to do, especially what Ioana wants to do, which is our president, we want to connect these 2 clubs and get whoever was expertise in your field and have you speak about life experiences, about work experience, about what we can do as young adults to get to where you're at.
And what time?
I believe it is 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. every first Wednesday.
So we're running a little late on time here. I want to give Paris a chance to respond to the challenge to give us some practical pointers. And then if there's time left, we can do some more questions. And feel free to jump in. I love the way you guys are helping yourself to the questions.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it brief. So definitely echoing a lot of what's been said and echoing what Liam said as well. Kind of one, I'm thinking of two main points. So the first one is that barriers to entry. Yeah, definitely time. And so I remember when I first came here, I was thinking, oh, maybe I should go visit a Rotary Club, but I couldn't go because it was smack in the middle of the day, and I didn't have like a full lunch hour that I could take from work to go. And so finding Rotaract, especially because they meet in the evenings, and we meet 2 times a month, every first and third Monday. For members, and anyone can come even if they're not a member, and we often have speakers like that, but that's really helpful to have an evening meeting to attend. And we have had Rotarians attend our meetings. Often it's because they're coming to speak about something, or like maybe the district governor is coming to give a talk or something, but I think we should definitely have more Rotarians come and just kind of hang out with us, and especially come join us. We always fellowship afterwards. We go to a local bar and get a drink, and like that's always a great time for people to network, especially because a lot of our Rotaractors don't know Rotarians, and sometimes, you know, they want to call on Rotarians because you all have such extensive experience, and, you know, be it for maybe someone seeking a global grant, or maybe someone seeking a scholarship, or maybe someone wants to start a service project, but they don't know how to connect because they haven't met any Rotarians. So kind of fostering those relationships is really good, and piggybacking off of that, do you all partner with a Rotaract Club?
We do.
Yes, okay. So I think that's great, like having, kind of adopting a Rotaract Club. We've sort of been adopted by Cambridge Rotary, as well as Downtown Boston Rotary Club, and we have other partnerships, obviously. I'm here. So, but that I think is really good because you have someone who you can call on, and we can do service projects together, and we can do other things like that together, and we can, you know, be invited to those clubs and really build those relationships. So yes, I think that's all good. So come to our clubs I'm more than happy to bring you as a guest. So.
Further questions for our panelists, because we are, I don't think we have time for another full-blown question, Susan. Susan's our timekeeper. Any other questions for panelists?
7:30.
Yeah, it was 7:30.
Steve.
Oh, but that was allowing for time afterwards so that people could socialize. The panel was supposed to be till 7.
Yeah, we got the social point loud and clear here.
But people can eat and socialize and talk.
I can say after something.
When you meet people who you think might be good members of your club, how do you approach them?
Sprinting.
That scares them off.
You'd be surprised, actually. In a city like Boston, it's really easy to make friends because people don't try to do it often. So if you go up to someone who seems really great and you just become their friend, it's really easy to ask someone to get coffee. So that's kind of one of our steps in our membership pathway, is just meeting people, taking them out to coffee, getting to know what they're about, what is driving their interest in Rotary potentially. Are they interested at all? It's a good way to kind of figure out too if their interests are maybe lying in a good spot, like they would love to get involved in service, or they're lying in I'm an insurance agent and I'd love to sell your club something. So sprinting. I stick with sprinting.
Go ahead, Anna.
Sorry, what's your average age? I didn't know about Rotary I didn't even know about Rotaract, and you and Rotary tracked me, and then I was like, well, I can never leave. I'm the youngest member there. They refused to let me go. I am the thing.
You're going to be president soon.
No, I had to cancel the
You
twins.
had to cancel. That's more important than that.
But, you know, when you're talking about familiar faces, I am the youngest person at your Rotary, and I don't mind that. However, what's your average demographic and how?
Yeah, so we're very fortunate. Well, I wouldn't say that we're fortunate. It just naturally became the makeup of the club. first of all, it's a newer club. It's been around for
6 years.
6 years. So it was started by actually our oldest members who are only in their 40s. So they are the oldest members. We are trying actually to make an effort to attract members that are actually older than we are. I think it's something that's important for the club. Oh, sorry. Because you can just stand up. That's all right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, testing. Yeah.
You're live.
So yes.
More reverb or?
Yes, more reverb, please. So I think that the mentoring aspect of Rotary is very important. And the last club I was in was actually considered a younger club. And I'd say the average age was, 55 or 50 even. And so I actually found a lot of people who that served as good mentors for me. And I actually found that invaluable. So I'm actually kind of in this small group of my club which says, hey, mentoring is something that we really have to focus on. That we don't want to lose that aspect of Rotary by being too young in some ways. But I don't speak for the whole club with that opinion.
I think in some ways you do though. Here, let me just wrap you in this cord. I think that our club realizes how young we are because we are really young. And we want diversity in all senses. So age is obviously a big factor of diversity. If you don't have representation from every stage of life, you're not representing the population, which is what we really, truly would like to do. But I do think that there is still the option for mentorships. I mean, our former president, Alen, I consider her a mentor of mine now that she's running for city council in the world. Casual plug for her there. And our current president, Jen, has also been a great mentor. So I think it's interesting to see how age doesn't necessarily define you, especially in a club like Rotary where you can jump in and be a leader at any age and at any time, like any tenure that you have. So, yeah.
Alberta.
Well, it seems that young working people may not be able to go to a weekly meeting, for 2 hours. I would think, that would be a barrier.
Jessica.
So I'm kind of like a super student, I guess, young professional. I'm working full-time, about 50 hours a week, and I go to night school for my graduate program. My week is filled. I work Tuesday through Saturday, basically 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. On Tuesdays and Thursday nights, I have class from 5:30 to 9 p.m. I don't get home until about 10. So to answer your question, I purposely skipped class for this, but don't worry, I took care of my homework. But yes, it is very difficult for young professionals to come to a meeting like this every week. That's why I think the Downtown Rotary and then the Boston Rotaract limited their admin meetings, I would say, to once a month, and then just have more service events, more speakers, and more events such as that.
It's okay.
I got a quickie. Might be the same one you're thinking about. Oh, okay. Sharon, you go.
I just wonder how many members in each club, that's all.
How many members are each of your clubs?
I think we have 35. I should know.
I think we have 35 too, so.
Solidarity.
I could say we have 35, but I would say we have a solid 15 to 20 active members.
So, panelists, our club is thinking right now of shifting gears a little bit on our fundraising effort. We're looking for a new event that we're gonna do a major fundraiser on. We've been very successful in the past, especially thanks to Elias Audi, doing our Dancing with the Stars event, and the money that we've raised measures in the six figures. So. But we're feeling like that event may be past its prime, and we're looking for an event that is going to generate some excitement. Do you have any pointers for us? Any thoughts on it? And in that same token, how much does your club think about major fundraising events?
I would say.
I would say so like the first 3 letters of fundraising are fun. So, so obviously, yeah, just number 1, remember that. So I definitely with your fundraisers, or at least just what we've done is making sure that while people are raising money, spending money, but they're having fun. So like we had a karaoke fundraiser where we sold raffles, and so or we sold tickets where you could drop them into little buckets, you know, and we would draw them, and you could, depending on how many you buy, is how you get more tickets. So you might buy like 20 tickets, and you can put all 20 of them in for a gift card at Dunkin' Donuts or something. And so that's really fun for people because they're like, oh, you know, I want to like do as many as I can. And I would also say like the cool thing about kind of having fundraisers that are built on like maybe one event, like doing karaoke, or even we had our holiday party and we turned it into a fundraiser because we sold, we had like really fun themed drinks. I can't even remember what they were, which maybe that's how good the drinks were. I don't know. But anyway, I'm kidding. But we like named them, and they were all, I think, because we were doing a fundraiser for Pure Home Water, which has they create clean water filters for communities in Ghana, and we had named the drinks kind of in relation to that. And so that was really fun because people were like, oh, like what's this, you know, like you know, I want to buy this drink. And so that was just something we were doing as a club. It was a social event, but we were allowing people to, as an activity, like fundraising was an activity at our holiday party and at the karaoke event we did. Also, both of those events had multiple income generators. So there were multiple options for people to give and to contribute to the fundraising that we were doing, which was good because you might buy a drink and half of the proceeds from that night are going to our club. You might also pay for a ticket to do karaoke. Those proceeds are going to our club, and so there was something for everyone to do. And I would also add anything that lures people out and is more than, and this kind of goes back to the whole fun thing about fundraising, but lures people out, and it's not just so much, okay, we're like doing this, you have to work to get money. It's more of just like it comes naturally for you to be at this event and to be having fun, and you're raising money at the same time. I hope all of this is making sense. I feel like it's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can see Richard taking notes right now. We're going to have a fun name drink benefit for case of water, right? All right.
Hold on, we got another hot idea from Jesse, and then we'll get to you, Elias.
So this is just my personal opinion, and what my observation is for a university-based club is we're leaning away towards fundraising because, to be frank, all the college students, we're either poor or we're in debt, so we have no money. I mean, it's the hard truth about it. So like when we do a fundraiser, last year we did a fundraiser, most of the proceeds came from members, and like we did a Boston Serve Epic Serve, which is a $25 donation to then paint a school, underprivileged school. I fronted the money for that. Like most college students can't afford $25. We had a fellowship meeting for a chocolate tour. It was $8 per person, and I did a poll, like, who can afford $8? No one raised their hand. So I personally subsidized that, and we only had about 5 people show up, but that's all I wanted to say. University-based clubs, we can't get people because we can't fundraise when we don't have money.
More hot ideas. The opposite of fun is nuff, by the way.
Yeah, so I would say we're a little unusual in terms of fundraising. We don't have like one big thing yet. We're working towards our big thing, which we think will be a scavenger hunt, and we're working on planning that. But I think we're really successful at fundraising in unlikely ways. So we did a friend-raiser that the district helped us sponsor, which was nice because a lot of the costs were cut. We went bowling, so we were recruiting at the same time. So everyone brought their friends that they thought could be potential Rotarians, and we met a lot of people. We had a lot of fun. There was a lot of bowling, beer, pizza, very easy to lure people there, not hard to do at all. But we also had people bring socks. So our big cause right now is socks for the homeless because it's cold in Boston. It's already cold in Boston. And we want to make sure that people are warm. And so something simple like that, where you can kind of fundraise and also generate money for something else. People, I think the thing that's most potent for younger people is just the idea that you're actually contributing something physical. So we like to give our time, we like to give actual things versus handing over cash. We don't have a lot of cash, we're not liquid people. Versus anyone can go pick up a pair of socks at Primark, it's $2, right? So people would come in with these fun socks, we had reindeer socks, we had all kinds of different things. So maybe thinking of it less as something that we're gonna get money to go to this cause and more of what can we physically provide to get there.
I would just add a trick. No. Our fundraising, I think, for me personally, is incredibly important, and I think that a lot of the members of our club, I would say, are I don't know. We haven't really done like a study of the demographics, but they're getting to the age where you start to have a little bit of extra, not necessarily a lot of extra money, but enough where you might be willing to contribute something. And so are your friends. So I think we're kind of forming an important link between kind of the old guard and this new guard, in the sense that we're trying to instill this value in the members of our club, the importance of fundraising. But it's not just fundraising, it's also the way in which you do it. To echo the sentiment, the first 3 letters are fun. So a marquee event sounds great, and yes, if done properly, can raise a lot of money, but it's also a lot of work. And I think it's kind of like a thing that will probably never change, is that no matter if you start with a committee of 20 people, there's going to be 3 people to do all the work. And so that's just a major challenge. With smaller events, which we're having success with, maybe 1 a quarter, they take less planning, they take less effort by the club in general, and it's not so much work for 3 or 4 people to really spearhead a major fundraiser. It's not massive, but can generate enough to make a difference in a tangible way.
Elias and Lottie, by the way, I'm sorry, we're going to give Elias the last word here.
Oh, you want to speak?
For once. I know, he doesn't usually get the
I
last
appreciate
word.
your thoughts on fundraising. It's great. But I'd like to go back a little bit to the venue. I think you mentioned the venue. How important do you think the venue is to bring in new members and younger, also for diversity, not just younger for the sake of younger, for diversity?
As far as diversity, I think that's, I'm not sure, maybe it depends on more the location of the club itself. Certain parts of Boston are obviously not very diverse in general, so you might have to work a little harder to make it known that you're a welcoming place and help people find you. I think that you can't be everything to everyone. So we happen to be a club where our makeup is similar. We have a very young club, so people naturally want to come and be social, and they, and share in that camaraderie. And so that's become a very important part of our identity as a club. But I think impact. I think if kind of digressing a little bit, but just the impact that you make in the community, making that known and figuring out ways to promote that, and figuring out ways to bring people in who really maybe they're not that interested in joining a social club. They just want to make a difference in the community. And if that's your identity, I think you focus on that, and you focus on finding people who are going to connect with that, regardless of their age.
And to echo what you said earlier, sorry, I think you did mention about having a venue that is like inviting and kind of cool. And we meet at a place called the General Assembly, which is downtown Boston. And it's not only is it's a really kind of cool and hip place. And they have classes there for you can take all kinds of different language classes, like computer programming classes. That's what they do on a daily function. But they also provide meeting spaces, and there's you can get free coffee and everything. It's kind of like one of those more innovative community workspaces. But anyway, aside from that, it is centrally located, and so that's something to think about when you're thinking, we want to make sure that everyone can get to our club who wants to come, and so that, we're not meeting somewhere that people have to drive to because they may not have a car. We're meeting somewhere that's accessible off of multiple different modes of transportation, and so every meeting place that we've had has been like that.
And also, so each of us on our board are in charge of organizing a meeting. And so what I'm proposing for my meetings that I have to organize is that we go out somewhere and have our meeting at maybe in one of our service locations. So for instance, we work with Haley House, which is a bakery in Roxbury, and they employ people who have been incarcerated. And so my plan is maybe we'll go to Haley House, we'll go to something else like that, not only to get everyone out and maybe attract maybe some people who are trickling in or just wondering, hey, like, what are you all doing? Like, who's meeting here? But also to kind of expose our members to places in the city that they may not have been before or that they might not know a lot about. So yeah, and just, to really be out in the community with what we're doing.
Mainly myself.
Yes.
Time for one more question, Susan.
Food is good.
Thank you. I know Sharon and Ken will both thank you, but really, we are so appreciative of all of you coming and talking to us tonight. It has been really pleasure and very helpful. As our club members know, we have a relationship with Boston University Rotaract, and it has been so beneficial to us. We have loved everything that we have done jointly with you guys. They help us with pancake breakfast. They're the ones, their outreach, their service project on Sunday is really part of Brookline Rotary's Brookline Town Day. We're teaching families how to properly pack backpacks thanks to Boston University Sargent College. They are with us. There was something else coming up that the food thing for women and girls thriving in Brookline, the dinners that you guys teach. That was an extension of a district grant that Brookline Rotary got for women and girls thriving in Brookline. And now Boston University Rotaract is teaching healthy eating classes, which are wonderful. And I just wanted to say we would welcome the participation of Boston Rotary and Boston Rotaract Club in some of these projects. We're doing another grant with Boston Housing Authority this year, where we're doing literacy classes, and they're looking for tutors. But anything that we can do with all of you, it enriches us, adds to our value, and we are so grateful for your participation.
Susan, just to agree with you there really quick, I completely agree with you, and that's why I actually go to their Boston Rotaract meetings, and I was planning to go to a downtown Rotary meeting sooner or later when Mal was, I'll talk to you later, but I just want the whole community to get together because we do all awesome things, and the more we collaborate together, the more team effort we have, the more we can affect the community.
Well said.
So quickly, I'm going to hand it over to Sharon in a second to conclude our meeting, but I want to add my complete appreciation for your participation in this, and I'll just say that more people like the four of you, plus Liam, of course, the future of Rotary International looks very bright.
Well, I guess, I'm really excited because I had this vision and I had no idea how it was going to come out, but I had met a few of you and I knew that was enough right there, and I really want to thank Susan and Gloria. They helped contact all of you and set it up, and Susan for doing all the refreshments, and as you know, we're a team. We can't do it by ourselves. I feel like we've really learned a lot tonight, and we'll let you know where we're going from here, given all of your input, because, and as I said, that this is being filmed so that we can all have a real discussion about this. Yeah, really, and what I said to the club is that as president-elect, we have to go to all of these different things, district conferences, things like that, and I get to experience the inspiration, and when I bring it back to the club, I try to be inspiring, but I'm giving ideas, and so to have you right here is true inspiration, and that is our theme this year, so from Rotary International. I just want to say that for those of you that are members and have partaken of our wonderful food, you might want to see Joyce to appreciate it. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Elmont, is the bar still
Oh,
open?
and Elmon, thank you so much. Elmon set up this whole room, and he's got water and everything, so thanks, Elmon.
The bar is still open, Elmont? All right. And they're not about to let you go. Where? Your house? You're doing your own thing. All right. I think I have these handicapped, but if I can, I would love to. Oh, sure.
Would it see all those sweaty people?
When I get back with the,
Would it, for 4 years?
I think like you should.